You've gone ahead and taken, let's say a conservative number, 800 milligrams of ibuprofen. You've waited the mandatory hour it's supposed to take for the stuff to kick in, and still nothing. Well, not nothing. You still have your headache, but the pain relief you were expecting to get is still lingering. Naturally, we do the only logical next best thing, which is to then take something stronger. And even that doesn't seem to work. So what is it about migraines and headaches that don't seem to respond to over-the-counter painkillers? The answer is very straightforward. It's just really strange because doctors don't normally seem to tell people this. You can't solve a mechanical problem with a chemical solution. And all that means is that if you have a bone that's misaligned somewhere in your neck, normally at the base of your skull, it doesn't matter how much Advil, ibuprofen, or any other painkiller you take, it's not going to fix the problem. Today, we're going to go over the splinter analogy, which will help to explain why no amount of pain-killing pills is going to get rid of a mechanical headache, and how you can actually stop these whiplash migraines at their source. Let's start with a fun little story about Dave. Dave was a high-level executive who got rear-ended at a stoplight. For the next 6 months, he was carrying around a bottle of Excedrin migraine all throughout the course of his day, taking as many as 8 pills just to get through office meetings. By the time Dave came to me, he was desperate. That's normally when people come to see a chiropractor. They've tried everywhere else, and at this stage of things, Dave was starting to get a little concerned about his stomach lining, as he should have been. But he was starting to become even more frustrated with the fact that nothing really seemed to help his headaches. But the really cool thing was that since Dave had been to so many people prior to coming to my office, he had X-ray imaging, and we were able to take a look at his C1 vertebrae, his atlas, and it was really cool. Not for Dave, but for me, because it was very tilted whenever we looked at it from the side and from the front. Now, most of you know this, but bones aren't supposed to be crooked in your body. And in Dave's case, his bone was so crooked and it had induced so much swelling that it was constantly irritating the nerve that was coming out at the base of his skull and between his C1 and C2 vertebrae. Which, when translated into English, means that all the ibuprofen and painkillers that he was taking was a lot like taking a squirt gun to put out a fire while someone else is pouring gasoline on it. But the other fun little story about Dave is that once we got that mechanical problem straightened out, he didn't have to touch another painkiller for the following 3 months. If you, like Dave, are living on painkiller pills, this is your wake-up call. Real quick, we're going to talk about these two kinds of pain, mechanical and chemical. We'll start with chemical because these are the ones we're most familiar with. Typically thinking about things like infections, colds, flus, things of that nature. And what you do is you take an antibiotic to kill any kind of bacteria in your system, or if you have an ongoing fungal infection, that chemical is going to counteract whatever those other substances, whatever it is that they need to survive, and it's going to kill them off, either by introducing a toxin that's fine for you and it's lethal for them, or by cutting off something they need to survive. Super cool. Anything that's not supposed to be in your body dies, and you get to keep living your best life. Now, mechanical pain, on the other hand, is something that really is puzzling to me because when it happens outside of your body and you can see it, it makes total sense. But the second it happens under your skin, everyone loses their mind. So we're going to start with an analogy that you can draw a close parallel to, thinking of a splinter. If we have a splinter and we're just going to put it in the most painful place possible, under your fingernail, it hurts like crazy. And you can take ibuprofen or a painkiller and this will maybe help take off the edge, but it's still going to throb and it's still going to be there when that painkiller wears off. It's not crazy by anyone's standards to say the only way that's going to feel better is if you remove the splinter. And this is where I lose everybody, because whenever we go internal, in the case of your spine, we're looking at that C1 atlas vertebra, which is serving as the splinter. This is the thing that is in the wrong place and it is causing problems. During things like car accidents or traumas, that whiplash-like movement is going to cause that C1 vertebra to move because it's predominantly stabilized by muscle and ligament. And just like a splinter, if it shifts just as much as a millimeter, it can cause a lot of problems, pinching on a nerve or even causing complications to your vertebral arteries. Now I'm hoping from that you can kind of connect the dots and realize it doesn't matter how many painkillers you take. Whenever it wears off, that vertebra is still going to be out of place. When I'm talking about your atlas, I'm talking about the bone that is right beneath your skull. And it's a super cool, weird bone because it doesn't have any locking joints like all the other vertebrae in your spine. And what that means is every other movement you make, you eventually are going to hit a bony end range. One bone is going to bump into another, and it's going to keep you on track, sort of like railroad ties. It's not going to let you move any further than that. Your atlas is kind of this donut with 2 divots for your skull. Otherwise, it's just floating on a bed of ligament and muscle. If it weren't for those muscles and ligaments, you could just keep spinning your head until it fell off. This isn't inherently a bad thing. Everybody needs to be able to say yes and no by moving their head, but when you're in something like a high-speed collision and you have a whiplash injury, that hypermobility can cause a lot of issues. If that bone shifts left, right, forward, back, it runs the possibility of pinching on a nerve or even your central spinal cord. And you can imagine if something this important starts to get pinched, something else is going to freak out about it. And in this case, it's going to be your suboccipital muscles, these tiny muscles right at the base of your skull that are going to go into spasm to make sure that nothing goes slipping around any further than it already has. These muscles are super innervated because they communicate with your eyes, your ears, and they also contract to move your head. So when they go into spasm, it is one of the loudest SOS messages that your body is going to receive. And when your brain receives that muscle spasm signal, it interprets it as a throbbing headache. And that's assuming that the atlas isn't also compromising blood supply. So it sounds pretty crazy and intense, and you can try to mitigate that pain by taking a painkiller supplement, or you can just fix the problem by correcting the misalignment. One is temporary, and the other one is actually a permanent fix. If you're tired of popping pain pills, or you're just sick of wondering what's going to give out first, your headache or your liver, I've got a pretty straightforward solution for you. First things first, I am just a doctor on YouTube. I don't know you. The first thing you need to do is make sure that your pain is actually mechanical. And since I don't know you, I did the next best thing, which is down in the description. It is a free copy of the Physician's Advocacy pamphlet specifically for headaches. It has the exact clinical language that you would need to use to explain to your doctor what's going on and see if he or she can't validate a reason for getting you imaging. Because if you can prove that the pain is actually coming from something structural, you're no longer a migraine patient, you become a structural recovery patient. Also, you could take this imaging to a chiropractor and they would be able to look at it in conjunction with feeling around in your neck to get a better idea of how you're actually misaligned. However, big however, is that moving the bone back into place is only half of the battle. If you want that bone to stay where it's supposed to be, you need to strengthen the muscles that hold it there. You wouldn't build a brick house without mortar, and I really don't like adjusting one of the most mobile bones in your body without knowing that the muscles that keep it there are strong and stable. If you would like the exact exercises and neurological resets that I did for David, look down in the description for the Whiplash Recovery Blueprint. I built a specific module called the Cervical Stability Reset, which is going to help you strengthen the muscles that hold your head on tight while also reteaching those nerves how to fire so that they don't get overwhelmed with eye movement and the instability that might still be in your neck even after getting realigned. If the painkillers aren't helping, quit trying to treat the symptoms and start trying to fix the machine. I'm Dr. Beck. I hope that you found this video useful, and I will see you in the next video.